Recording now. Okay, welcome guys. It's episode 6. We've had a 3-week layoff. I wouldn't say layoff because we haven't been doing anything, or at least I can speak for myself, and I'm assuming you guys have been getting after it as well. I feel like whenever we have breaks, it's not really like time off per se. It's just more like, okay, it's more opportunities to get some training in. But we have a special guest. We have Brady Beamon. Brady, you're a teacher and you're a coach at Granite Hills High School. You were also, I believe, a 2-time All-American for NAIA Simpson University, which is pretty dope. I definitely want to talk about what happened your senior year because I've heard some stories. I wouldn't mind hearing it from yourself if it's not too painful. But welcome, man. I'm glad you're able to come on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited. Like he introduced, my name is Brady Beamon, born and raised in San Diego. I wrestled in college at Simpson University, which happens to be in Redding, California. Had a good 4 years there. Still have 2 years of college left.
Sadly. You still have it left?
2. Well, at least one redshirt year and a full competition year.
Dude, are you gonna run it back sometime or what?
Do it.
No, I've joked about it because I coached with Jason Welch's dad up in the Bay Area, and I would see Jason a lot, and he's like, dude, come be my 84, 97. I'm like, come on, dude. Just jokingly. And I'm like, dude, I'll do it. And like, no, not going to happen. My body's just too old now and beat up. I know.
So I have a buddy who's kind of, I think, what year did you graduate high school?
12.
Okay. So my buddy graduated 13, but he still has 2 years left as well.
That's funny. I think Sean has 2 years too.
He's teaching right now too, but he was wrestling for Skyline and was a state finalist. He got hurt this last season, but the season before last he was a finalist. But he I don't want to air it out. Hopefully, no one hears this. But he would just teach and he would coach wrestling at his high school, at the high school that he teaches. And then he would just go compete. So he wouldn't even practice or anything, man. Sean knows him. It's Willie.
Yeah, I wrestled him.
Who was it? Willie what?
I don't know his last name. That's up to Brian to disclose.
Oh, you don't have to be secretive.
We don't have to disclose it.
No, it's all good.
But, it's weird to think about.
I think Sean has 2 years too.
I don't think so. I think
your clock for D1 expires.
Your clock for D1.
I think mine continues to run no matter what.
You could go to NAIA or JC.
Expired. But you guys both, I think, had 2 years left then.
It would be NAIA or JC because
dude, let's go.
NCAA has like a
74s, 84s. Let's go.
I'm down.
We'll drill partners and we'll kill it.
Let's do it.
I mean, you could probably ask like a coach, be like, hey, listen, like if we beat your starters, let us just be on the team. I mean, you have to still be enrolled in school.
Yeah.
The hard part for me is going to be going 7 minutes with someone who can push the pace.
Just hit them.
I'm going to have to early lead, and stall out.
There you go.
Stall out. Brian, funny thing, I think I've told you this about Brady, is that Brady and I have been talking about doing a podcast for like forever. Just because we've just been talking wrestling since 2012, and we've always thought it'd be interesting, fun to do, which we never pulled the trigger. And it feels like we've finally come full circle. So I like it.
Yeah,
it's good to come full circle when you're able to.
Always.
But yeah, I mean, Brady, if this goes well, you might just be a regular guest on here.
Yeah, definitely not ever Pratt.
I would not be opposed. I was telling Sean that he should turn the room, his little guest room, into a little couch, a little podcast area. We could put some cool shoes up and a little plaque or something,
maybe,
put some wrestling memorabilia.
You got to ask the wife first. How about that?
Maybe get a sponsor, a little podcast sponsor or something.
You got to propose first, Sean, before you can call her the wife.
You do.
Oh,
those are the rules, I believe. Well, you can call her whatever I guess you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so our head coach, Brady and I's head coach, sent me. Oh, of course he's gonna call me.
Don't do it.
You're literally calling me on the podcast right now.
Is that Jesse?
I'm on the name.
Jesse.
The guys are saying hello. Oh, okay. All right.
Take your time, Sean.
Okay. Later.
Oh, that was
Cool.
bad.
Well, now
Turn
I've
off the
got
light? What's going
got-
on here?
I was trying to change it up. I don't know. I look all yellow. You guys look all bright, you know?
Yeah.
It's all good.
I was able to get up because the Doc B entries closed. So you can see wrestlers in weight classes that you have wrestlers in, but you can't see the wrestlers in every weight class. This doesn't make any sense. There's a certain name that's missing from 52s, and there's a
Yeah.
certain that same name's not at 45s either.
Okay.
So where is he?
Where's who, man? Who are we talking
Where's
about?
who?
He's hibernating, dude. It's winter.
Dude. He only wrestles in February, I guess.
You'll have
Hey.
to check. I don't know. You have to check out the news.
He's doing the college, game plan, wrestle, 10 matches, 5 matches a year, and you're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Why not? I mean,
If you find a system that works, stick to it. I'm all for it.
yeah. I mean, I'll say this. It's important to do what's best for your wrestler, and I think he wants to go, and if if it was a yay or nay decision, I mean, we had him in and just decided that it's better to wait, so we're gonna wait. But he'll be at other tournaments before the postseason. I'll tell you that much.
Looking forward to seeing him wrestle. Because he's exciting to watch.
Yeah, and he wants those big matches. And we have plans to make sure he gets those big matches. If not at the end of the year, then definitely after, and then over the summer. So
some of these weights are looking tough. I mean, I can only see a couple weights, but it's gonna be sick. Bergen Catholic brought 2 full teams, by the way.
you said 2 full teams?
2 full teams, 22 wrestlers.
That's cool.
That's not 2 full teams, but
Okay, but it's dang close. Killing me.
1.5, but all right.
Sean, you got your bachelor's?
Hold on, let me go to
And
teams.
it wasn't in math? Well, you finished high school, right?
I think so.
Okay. Math is hard sometimes.
Math is hard.
Math is hard.
I forget how to count all the time.
Brian, there was a topic that Brady and I discussed the other day, and I feel like it's a good topic. Okay. It's relating to college wrestling. You don't really see it too much in high school wrestling. What do you feel about guys who lose on the championship side of brackets and default out of the tournament?
Yeah, for medical red shirts and stuff.
Not even medical red shirts. Guys who are
forfeit.
They're just forfeiting out the backside of the bracket.
Just injury defaulting the rest till like 6.
Yeah, well, yeah. Medical default, injury default, whatever.
Not wrestling a single match on the backside.
So I'll tell you this, last season when we had our central section, master seating meeting and stuff like that, we talked about it for like head to heads, because we had some of that where guys were forfeiting out of matches or forfeiting out of the tournament. I think it should count against them for seating. I think it should count against them for seating. Well, you forfeited to that guy. And I don't know. I think for college it gets tougher because of RPI and et cetera. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's like an easy answer for that, except, I definitely think, well, if I forfeit to you, then you technically have a head-to-head against me when it comes to seating. Not necessarily a head-to-head win, but an argument, well, okay, I'm forfeiting to you. That should come into play when it comes to the seeds.
That was kind of last year wasn't it Geoffrey and Lemus in the Masters?
Yeah,
final?
Temecula.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that too.
They did it the Temecula Valley Finals. Oh, it was it was Lemus and Bobzian. Lemus forfeited to Bobzian from Poway in the finals of Temecula last year. And at the time, I want to say they were 2-3 in the state. Or
1 and 2 or 2-3.
Bobzian was like a top 5.
Yeah, they were 2 and 3 in the state because Barreto was 4 and Guffey was 5.
Joffrey was 1, yeah.
And Joffrey was 1. And so Lemus forfeited, and it secured his 2 seed for state.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
feel
what
like
do you
in
guys think
college,
about that?
I think we're seeing it more and more in college, and it's like, oh, it's frustrating because some guys, you slip up, right? It happens. Wrestling is a hard sport. It's hard to, not everyone's Cael Sanderson and can go out there and win 159 matches or whatever and not lose a single time. But think of all the times we've lost in our career on the front side of a bracket, have battled back on the backside, and you become a better wrestler, a better individual, a tougher person because of it. I feel like there's so much more pro to wrestling on the backside than there is con. Seeding can play big effect, but it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you're absolutely screwed if you have a bad seed, quote unquote. The only one person that determines if a seed is bad is yourself. So I don't know. I think it's kind of soft. If someone's legitimately hurt, totally different. But then you got to give kudos to guys like Abbas from Stanford, loses first round at Scuffle to Joffrey's bigger brother, and freaking battles all the way back to outplace him and take third.
Like,
well, I think part of that had to do with the fact that he still needs those RPI wins.
That's exactly why. He wouldn't have done that had he probably made the semis and lost. He probably would have forfeited out. But he probably needed some head-to-heads to get his RPI or whatever. You need quality wins or whatever. And then obviously probably losing that match didn't help him at all. So he needed to bounce back a little bit, I think.
Right, but I don't know. Like if that happens to one of our guys, like this last weekend, we were at the Sonora TOC, which turned out to be a phenomenally ran tournament. The Southern section did a good job. I think it was Sonora and
Valencia.
And who?
Valencia, I think, right?
I thought it was La Habra. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's all three.
I just know a couple of high schools came together to run that tournament. They had 2 split gyms similar to Doc B. Ran it really well. Ran super smooth. They did a good job of clearing the mats, letting people be able to watch and wrestle. Officiating was pretty decent at times. There's one ref that me and him were not seeing eye to eye. That's fine. But
one of my wrestlers.
What's that?
Do you have a beef with the ref?
No, like we didn't have beef. We disagreed on a call in one match, and then it kind of like did the trickle down effect. And like the next match, we were just not getting along. The next match, finally was like the finals.
You're never gonna win that battle, Sean. You're never gonna win that battle. And they don't forget.
I'm not an argumentative person.
They don't forget. They got memories like elephants, man.
I'm not an argumentative person. I do not pick fights with referees. They have a hard job. I can't do their job.
Wait, Brady, does he?
I mean, as a coach, you get fired up sometimes. You want to fight for what's right, but at the same time, you got to realize that they're not perfect and they can't change some stuff.
Brady, you coach with me. Do I like get fired up at refs and yell at them and scream at them? And
fired up right now.
You might yell at me, but I mean that's about it.
Yeah, I'll punch Brady before I punch anyone else.
I'm normally the one getting the misconducts.
Yes, that is freaking true, Brady. Brady's getting Jesse kicked out at most tournaments.
Is it because poor Jesse, dude.
I want to do that.
That's a weird rule.
I want to do
it. It's not fair.
We have a colorful staff at Frontier, but it's like, if I say anything or like my brother says anything or, there's a couple other guys that might say something, Carlo's gone.
Carlo's out, dude, later.
So I learned this from Carlo, because Carlo is like, he's very intelligent and very knowledgeable about wrestling. So he's like 95% right. I would make, it's probably more closer to 99%. But he'll tell the refs like, no, this is the correct call. Like, this is exactly what happened. And like, this was the sequence and this is he'll break it down. But if you do that, the refs are like, nah. And then like, misconduct or whatever. But so he would do that. And, there's kind of like this relationship where refs at a particular area do not like Frontier. And then that's the vibe that I get. And I've actually had a long conversation with one at a youth tournament recently. But, sometimes it's like when you get into a situation where maybe your wrestler can get hurt and they don't stop the position or they don't, the refs are basically have control out there. I mean, I'd rather have somebody that would be favorable to me and my team than unfavorable. So, I mean, I think it's best for the athlete, and that's ultimately like every coaching decision that I think about. It's like what's best for the athlete. So, is it worth being right that somebody gets hurt? No.
Well, and sometimes it can mess with the momentum of a match. Like if your guy's starting to push the pace on someone and breaking them, and then we don't get a call in our favor, and we go like, oh, up to the head table. These guys are getting a break, and it's like, no, keep the momentum. I'll rather like, I don't know. It depends on the situation, obviously, and it's depending on how much time's left, what's the score, but arguing with refs or bringing things to the head table does give guys breaks and rests.
Yeah.
And if you're gassing your guy out and you're trying to push the pace on him, that's not always the best thing. You just have to know the situation, I guess. But anyways, back to my original story about the Sonora tournament. One of my wrestlers got knocked out round 1, and he was like the 4 seed.
He got knocked out, or
he lost his match. He lost his match first round. I think it was the 4 seed, and we had a talk. We were like, hey, we got to battle back. We one match at a time, slow and steady. Just go out there, same mindset every match, and we'll work our way back. Unfortunately, the 2 seed got beat early as well, and they ended up meeting second day round of 12. So we lost a decent match there, but he did good. He battled one match at a time, and he had the right mindset going into it until he ran into obviously a pretty tough kid who's like top 10 in the state. So shouldn't have lost that first match, but that's just the mindset, like one match at a time, battle through the backside of the bracket, and good things can happen. Versus like if he had lost him, we would just been like, we're done wrestling. It's fine. Take your shoes off. Like he gets nothing out of that. Zero.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely agree, and I think if I was a college coach, I'd hope I'd have the same mindset. I think for high school though, it's important that they learn how to wrestle back. And
I think every college kid is capable of wrestling back though.
Say what?
You think every college kid is capable of wrestling back like that?
I don't know. I think it's interesting. So I feel like college wrestling is different, where it's more of a job, where it's more about winning than it is in high school. From in my opinion, winning's important in high school, but it's not the most important thing. Like developing character, developing good people, learn how to fight through adversity, all that good stuff. I think losing your first round, having to battle back is more testament, I guess, to building character.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, that's why you don't ever really see that in high school. You don't see that in high school that often compared to college.
No, I think you're right for sure. It's that mixed with the fact that how college wrestling favors just March in general, like, and even Big Tens doesn't really matter that much, or whatever the conference tournament. It's literally just NCAA's is the only thing that matters. So once they have whatever they think they need or can, make their seed or whatever the best, they don't really care after that. It's just, all right, we're going to be ready. We're going to train. We know where we're at, and let's do that.
2 things with that. Did you guys watch the video on Flow from a couple of days ago of the Mizzou coach saying that they left a couple people back home for Southern Scuffle? Like Keegan O'Toole didn't wrestle. A couple other guys didn't wrestle. And I think the premise was pretty much that the college NCAA season is too long. It's like way too long.
Yeah.
And it goes by fast, I feel like, when you're in it. But it's not, they're not wrong. It's freaking like our high school season ends a full 3 weeks sooner. And most high schools don't really start competing until December, whereas some colleges were competing before that. So it's a long season. And I understand what you mean. Like it obviously it comes down to March and NCAAs. Let's do this. What's a team that we feel like wrestles a lot, is always competing? And let's think about let's maybe track their progress and see how they do at NCAAs.
I can't think of one off the top of my head that competes a lot.
I feel like Iowa State competes a lot.
Penn.
Oh, they do compete a lot. They wrestled in a couple.
Penn.
No, Penn. University of Penn.
They do wrestle a lot.
They actually made a tweet the other day with all this like, medical forfeit and scuffle stuff. It was like I think their assistant coach, Brian Pearsall, he was like, he tweeted out, he's like, we brought, 19 wrestlers to Midlands or whatever, wrestled this many matches and had 0 forfeits and this and all this, whatever stats were. But it's just like, we're here to wrestle. We're here to get better. Like,
Yeah.
We don't care if you lost or won or whatever.
I also think that the mental aspect plays a huge part. If you're unable to get upset and take a loss in Southern Scuffle and battle back from that, I'm not saying you have to battle back to take third, but battle back to podium. Do you think you're going to have the mental capacity to do that at the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, it's good practice. It's
think
good
so.
practice.
I think so.
Well, it's that mixed with the fact that some guys just aren't wrestling. Like you said, the Missouri coach literally left 3 guys at home. And same thing at Midlands. Arizona State left guys back. I know there's.
I'm okay with that though. I'm fine with, like, if a guy's got a good amount of matches, maybe he's banged up. Maybe it's like, just like what Brian was talking about, what's best for the athlete. Maybe I'm okay with keeping them home. What doesn't make sense to me is you enter the tournament with an athlete, right? You anticipate that if things went perfectly well and he makes it to the finals, he's going to have about 5 matches. He loses the first or second match. He gets 2 matches in and he loses, right? He's still missing 3 matches that you anticipated going and getting, because everyone thinks that they're going to be in the finals, or you should have that mindset.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the difference? Why are you only wrestling the 2 matches, but you knew there was a chance to wrestle 5? If they had won those 2 matches, were they going to forfeit out even while they were on the championship side? No one does that. So it's just weird. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Kind of makes me mad, but we'll see. There's going to be changes to it. I guarantee it. There's so much talk about it, like on the forums and stuff.
There's got to be something, I think.
They're going to make some change, like where they're going to count as losses, or someone mentioned this to me. I read this actually, is if they forfeit during the match, like if you saw the 97 match, Lou Dupre from Binghamton, I think he rolls his ankle, like first period, gets set on top and goes, oh, okay, my ankle's done. That's totally understandable, right? He's too injured to compete. And I think that does go on his record as a loss. But I feel like they're going to make it where if you don't do that, meaning you don't injury default during the match, you injury default post-match, it's still going to count as losses.
I think whatever happens, coaches are going to find ways to game the system.
Yeah.
And that's with every sport. That's with anything. I think another thing too that would be interesting, instead of seeding through 33, the NCAA tournament, what about just seeding the top 8 and just be random draw? That way coaches aren't, overthinking about all this crap. You want to get as many matches as possible.
Yeah. And then sometimes you do all that math and you do all that, you're trying to get the highest seed and you come in at a seed that's not bad, but you run into the 1 seed second round. It's like, well, you played all these games and you're still running into the 1 seed first or second round. It's like, I don't know.
Well, that possibly favors you on the back end.
Maybe you have a loser's mentality.
I mean, if that's your mentality, is to lose, but you get a chance to wrestle the number 1 guy. You're gonna have to beat that guy anyways if you're gonna be a national champ, possibly.
Right. I just feel like
again on the back end, usually that's more favorable.
It seems like everyone's, like you said, they're gaming the system. They're looking for the easiest way possible to get what they want, and everyone wants a team trophy at NCAAs. It's really what it comes down to. But I digress. I'm getting.
I have a question. So I've lost track of time. I can't even remember. But there's a kid that we've wrestled a couple times. He's very, very aggressive when you go and do the handshake post match. So I have a question so I'll explain what happened. So normally Carlo and I like go old fashioned handshake. Carlo is more of a fist bump, and let's just fist bump and get out of there. So it's always awkward because the guy goes from like handshake or fist bump to the other one, and he has to like change his hands. But now I think it's just funny, so I'm going to keep doing handshake. But I made the switch, right? I made the switch just because I'm a team player, and I understand kids just want to get out of there. It's fine. So I stuck my hand out there, and I kind of just, we won a close one against this kid. It got kind of chippy at the end. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna put my fist out. He touches it, they'll move on. So I went first, and I put my fist down. And I kind of just, you can't really see on the camera, but I kind of just gently put it out there, and the dude freaking cocks back, went boom, right on my fist. I'm like, So he got me, and then Carlos sees it, and it's like, oh, like gets his hand ready, dude. Like it kind of glances off, but I'm like, that son of a gun, and we were both laughing about it. So the second time, we have to wrestle him. It's like the next weekend. I'm freaking ready this time, man. And I get it like as close in front of him as possible, so he can't wind up. He still tries it, but it glances off because I'm ready this time.
I would just pull it back and make him swing and miss.
You guys go handshake or you go fist bump?
I mix it up. I don't have a set thing. It's just whatever feels right in the moment.
I do whatever the coach in front of me does. So like if Brady goes first, then I'll copy him. But if it's just me or if I'm going first for whatever reason, I'm gonna probably go fist bump. It also depends on the kid. If I know the kid, we have like a relationship, maybe he wrestles with us in the club, like I'll shake his hand because I like him or because I know him. But most of the time I just do a fist bump. This weekend at Sonora, this is a weird story. I don't remember who we were wrestling, but kid loses to one of our guys, and Jesse, the head coach, goes to the edge of the mat and sticks his fist out. Jesse likes to like meet them at the edge, right? I'm usually like back at the chair, still fuming because
for a dual meet or for a tournament.
We're at the tournament, the Sonora TOC. So I usually stay near the chair, but he likes to go to the edge of the mat. So he has fist bump up. Kid sees fist bump at Jesse, has his hand like this already, like handshake. Jesse doesn't switch to a handshake. He's like staying strong. He's like, I'm gonna fist bump you. And the kid just looks at him and just walks right past him to come to me. And I was like, I had a fist bump out too. And I was like, okay, I'll shake your hand. And then the kid walks away and Jesse's like, oh, that was weird. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, that was
that hurt my feelings.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that was good. It was very awkward.
We had a Christmas duel on the 23rd after finals. Nice. Dude, it was rocking, man. It was a good time.
After finals, everyone showed up?
Huh?
All the school, like the whole school showed up?
Not the whole school, but our side of the gym was packed. A lot of our youth kids, parents, there were like coaches from other schools that came in and watched. It was, I think, well hyped. And I don't know if you saw, but our team created a duel before Christmas and all through the gym, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it was pretty good promotionally. I'll pat myself on the back. So there is a rule that I learned for dual meets, and I'm going to share it because I think it's important for a little trick in my back pocket. But the team that we wrestled, we know their head coach pretty well. But he was talking a big game about he was going to beat us this year.
Was it South?
He what?
Was it South?
It's Highland.
Highland.
Addison Hay, and
they were at
he watches.
They were at the Sonora tournament. They look pretty tough.
Yeah, they have some tough kids. The duel could have been a little bit different. They didn't. So here's the trick. So they weighed in. Everybody. But then he was saying that like, hey, like these guys aren't going to wrestle. Like this guy's still hurt, and like just like stuff like that. And I'm not believing it at all because I see him weigh in. So if I see you weigh in, I'm expecting you to wrestle. Mm-hmm. Here's what he did. When it came down time to write down our lineup on the list, like before the duel. So we did like a face off and all that stuff, and he had it on the list. Okay, like this guy's not wrestling 52s. The one guy isn't wrestling 52s, and then their 220 pounder, they had him listed at 220s, but he weighed in at 195. So I'm thinking, like in my head when I see him weigh in, I'm like, all right, he's gonna go 95s. It wouldn't change our lineup at all. But when didn't see him write him down at 95s, I'm like, okay, why did he have him weigh in so light? And I thought, okay, maybe he just weighs that, but that wouldn't make sense. So when it comes time, we start the duel at 182. So we get a quick pin on our side, And then it goes to 95s. And I see their 220 pounder who's, I think he's ranked like top 12 in the state. I see him walking out on the mat. I get out of my seat and I'm like, So I go up to the freaking thing and I'm like, he's not listed. So what Addison did, and he's crafty, he's going to pull out all of his tricks. He had asked the ref because he looked at the interpretation, or he looked at the rule, and the rule is something like when the wrestler goes to check in, they have to like present themselves, or like, I forgot exactly what the wording is, but he asked the referee, like, what's the interpretation here? And, both Carl and I, we got up and we're like, what the hell, and he's like, well, he's checking in right now. Like I don't have to put out that lineup.
Yeah. You could,
Nothing robot doesn't have to do that.
That's kind of the advantages of like the odd or even thing. I'm pretty sure you don't, like, one team has to send their guy out or declare like their wrestler first, unless you just send your guy out. But like, if people do that, that's sometimes how they game that, odd or even, that this team has to show me who's wrestling first, who's going to step out there, and then I can send my guy out, like if they want to change weights or whatever.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I think ref's interpretation goes a long way, and it actually didn't even come out to the way that he wanted it. His guy was freaking throwing up. He looked gas as crap. And we had a pretty tough kid. His sophomore was battling with him pretty hard, ended up losing, but was definitely in the match up until the end. But it's just interesting, the games, right? And I think I won't ever, maybe stoop to that level. But it's just interesting, having those tricks and being aware of it.
Sure.
Let's talk Dog B.
We can talk about it.
It's gonna be lit.
It's gonna be lit, dude. You still owe me a burrito.
I do. What kind of burrito? Breakfast?
I mean, I'm a big breakfast guy.
What do I owe you a burrito for?
Friday. That sounds pretty nice.
What do we burrito bet?
What?
Wasn't it the Iowa State duel?
Yeah, it was Iowa State.
All right, fine.
It was the outcome of the duel. You said Iowa State was going to win.
Getting Carlo a burrito too, because he's my favorite Frontier coach.
Well, yeah, you don't even know all of them. You don't like Sean? You remember
Sean?
Sean's
right? Cool. I met Sean. Sean's cool. Carlo's just class act. How do you not like that guy?
You need to get Carlo on too. There's a lot of people that don't like Carlo.
There's a lot of people that don't like Carlo.
Yeah.
He kind of has RBF. Not gonna lie.
What's RBF?
Resting beach face.
Oh, okay. I don't think
he looks like upset before you talk to him, and then you're talking to him and you're like, this guy's cool.
He is a straight up shooter.
Yeah.
I think people either like that or don't like that.
That is true. So like I mentioned earlier, I've kind of got it up here. I can only see 9 weight classes. It's kind of lame. I can't see all of them. Interesting from Clovis at 106. It looks like
They're putting Jackson or Thunder.
Thunder drop.
Thunder.
Jaden Wren
Thunder
is at,
Cats.
I believe Jaden Wren is at
13s.
I'm checking to make sure so I get that right. Also, 106 is a small weight class.
Yeah, it's the smallest.
Oh, I lied. Oh no, I didn't. They've got 220 or they got 213 pounders. They also have Raymond Rivera as well as Jaden Wren from Clovis at 13s. What I'm excited for is 38s. I think 38s is going to be really fun. We're going to have, I'll pull it up. So we're going to have Grigor Shalakian, who defaulted out of the Sonora TOC, while Dario Lemus and Reggie, is it Raiz?
Raiz.
I always have said Raiz, but I don't know if it's Raiz, Raiz, Raiz. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask him this weekend.
What if it's Raiz?
Maybe it's Raiz.
Maybe he pronounces it Ruiz.
Maybe it's Raiz. But I like him. I like watching him wrestle. But it had all 3 of those guys, and that's 3 top 5 guys in the state at that weight. And Grigor defaulted out. Heard a couple rumors that it might have been weight related. I don't know how true that is. Overheard.
So was it a second day default?
Yes.
He just defaulted without wrestling.
I didn't see him at weigh-ins.
So that, I mean,
He might have been there.
I don't like that crap, man. Just freaking make weight.
Yeah, I mean, but yes, I agree. But sometimes there could be underlying things going on. Maybe you're sick, maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? But
Brady, I have a question. I have a question for you. What I know, Sean, you want to make this a Doc B preview, but like, what are some of your biggest pet peeves when it comes to high school wrestlers?
Pet peeves?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, just dealing with high school kids in general, they think they're their own boss. They think they know everything.
Pet peeves with high school wrestlers.
We don't really have a lot of weight class like issues though. Like we don't have a lot of kids missing weight. Maybe weight management.
No, I hate when kids get too hyped up over who they're wrestling.
Oh, yeah, Brady loves that one. He always talks about that one.
I don't know. I'm the wrestler. Like it didn't matter who I was wrestling. It didn't change anything. Like it didn't, like, yeah, I might have to like not game plan, but just be aware of, hey, this guy has a really good, righty high crotch. You got to, be attentive to that. Or, hey, off top, he does this. This is his first move every time. Stuff like that is good, but it never like took me out of my game plan where I'm like, oh, I'm wrestling the number one guy in the state. So I got, I got to wrestle differently. Like it just, I don't know, that's one thing I'm like, I don't know. I feel like if you're changing your game plan every match and doing all this, you're missing the point. You're not sticking to your style and what you've been training and everything. So I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves for sure is just kids caring too much about rankings and this kid beat this kid. And it's like, it doesn't translate. Like I've been wrestling since I was 7 years old, and you could say, oh, this guy beat that guy, so I can beat him, or he beat him. And it's like, it never translates. It doesn't work.
Brady talks a lot about pre-match routine, like having a consistent pre-match routine. So many kids are inconsistent where like one match they're laser focused, ready to rock, and another they're smoking and joking with their buddies and like not really preparing the same as they were the last time. There needs to be consistency, and you have to find what works for you. Brady's pretty big on that. That's really I think very helpful especially for young wrestlers.
What was your pre-match routine then, Brady?
Nothing crazy. Like I never was a headphones guy, like put music on
the Bible.
No, I don't.
Read the good book.
I do read the Bible, but not pre-match. But side note, no, I don't. I never was like people like put this like gangster rap on or what pump up hype music or techno. You see some kids like dancing over on the side. That was never me. I literally like in high school they wrote a newspaper. This is not like the claim to fame or nothing, but they wrote a newspaper article about me and they like interviewed my coach and he used to call me the Kool-Aid man. Because I smiled.
Yeah, so I read that as Justin. Gosh. I always mispronounce his last name, Gigliotti.
It's Gelati, but yeah, he wrestled actually at CSUB too.
I met him at the 50th anniversary. I was going to bring that up.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's friends with Franciotti.
Yeah, he's a good guy, but I don't know. I like wrestling. I never like really didn't like I didn't have to be this mean dude, like, but I knew how to like stay focused at the same time. Like, even though I was smiling, I didn't have to be this like, stare you down kind of like game face, Tony Ramos type, like meet you in the middle of the mat or anything like that. It was just, I might be pacing, mainly like pacing for the most part, just kind of just locking in, making sure that my brain's, right. And I'm, game plan basically without overthinking it. But that was it. Nothing crazy. I go out there, put my ankle band on, slap my legs a couple times, and that was it.
So how do you coach that for an athlete? Because, as you've seen, like every kid has their own thing. Like, how do you help a kid figure that out?
I think it's a lot. I mean, obviously you probably kind of got to watch, what other guys do and just to get an idea of something, because just from our team, we have a lot of new wrestlers, like a lot, we're not really seeing a lot of youth wrestlers come up through our program yet. We're starting to see that now, but we have other, kids on our team that they just started wrestling this year or last year or the year before, so they didn't grow up in the sport. So they don't know. All they know is, go out there and wrestle. They don't really know like, oh, pre-match routine, this is what I need to do. So maybe watching some people, seeing what they do, kind of trying it out, testing what works. You definitely, I feel like you don't want to get overhyped for like the moment. Like, I think like a classic example of that is like David Taylor versus Kyle Dake NCAA final. He literally came out and you saw it live, and then later, I don't know how late it was, but David Taylor's like, dude, I overhyped myself. Like I was ready to wrestle the match like an hour before, and then I just tanked. And you kind of saw
adrenaline dump.
Yeah, he just adrenaline dumped. I mean, he went out there, got the first takedown, looked beautiful, like pushes Dake out of bounds.
Such a good takedown. Cross ankle kick.
Yeah, and he pushes Dake out of bounds, like, and he jumps up, like, yeah, and then from there it was just, he gave up that one like reversal, and it was like, all right, Dake was like, I got my hooks in, now it's over.
There's a couple of mat returns.
Yeah,
on the edge of the mat, and that I think that just about sealed it.
Yeah, that broke him. So I don't know. I finding that like balance of, if you like to get hyped up, that's fine, but obviously, you can't have an adrenaline dump. So to me, it's more just making sure your head's locked in, whatever that is. If that's jamming out to your favorite artist or whatever, and just kind of, focusing. To me, it was just kind of preparing, making sure that I know I'm doing what's right for, in the match and everything. That was it.
So when you think about like how you learned, not just how to wrestle, but how to like prepare and stuff. Your older brother Hunter, he how much older is he than you?
He's 4 years older.
He's 4 years older. So you kind of saw him when he was in high school, obviously. Did he wrestle in college? He wrestled at.
No, he didn't. I think he had some opportunities like Menlo, couple small schools. Sadly, he had a girlfriend at the time. They ended up getting married like literally at 18. They're not together anymore. Disclaimer. But yeah, that kind of, I think if you look back, he'll tell you that, he made a dumb decision. You could have wrestled in college. He was good. He two-time state qualifier. Definitely helped me out. I went to watch state like all those years he was in high school. So by the time I was, qualifying for state, I knew I'd already been in the arena. I've seen what the guys do to warm up. It's a different experience. If you go in there and you qualify as a senior or whatever, and it's your first time there, you're going to be a little shell shocked. You're going to be like, holy crap, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of mats. I don't really know what's going on. So I think that benefited me a lot, really. Yeah. But I've been watching him wrestle since I was little. I started at 7 years old. My first year wrestling, I actually only did practice, literally practice for 1 year. And looking back, some people do that now, but I don't think my dad meant to do that I don't even know if it was like, he probably didn't even know what he was doing. It was just like maybe I was too young or something. I don't know. I'd have to ask him, but we literally would practice like a mile away from my house. And I remember practicing the first year only, and I like wanted to wrestle so bad, but I never could. And then kind of different from like a lot of good wrestlers. You go back and hear wrestlers, they're like, oh, I got beat up like bad, when I first started. Like you hear David Taylor, like Burroughs, they're like, I got pinned. I'm like, I didn't get pinned really that much. Like I was actually pretty good as like my first year, but maybe that was because my first year wasn't like my true first year. It was like I had already practiced.
Yeah, I feel like with youth wrestling, I've been doing a few youth wrestling tournaments the last few weeks, and I did one actually down in San Diego last Sunday. Was it Sunday?
Yeah.
The days. It wasn't Sunday. It was
Saturday.
It was Saturday, man.
Yeah.
Dude, the days. So I had a high school tournament Tuesday and Wednesday in Santa Cruz or Aptos. And then I drove down, and then I drove down again. But it's just like crazy seeing like some of the parents and some of the coaches at the youth level right now. And some of it, there's some really good youth coaches for sure. But I'd say at one of them, one tried to fight me. He was arguing some silly call So I mean, I'm usually like whatever. I'm usually just pretty chill, like especially at youth tournaments. I'm very chill. But they were slowing the match down because this kid was like about to throw up. Like he was like really tired. And I'm like, dude, like it's like a minute 30 periods. Like it's let's just get through this. It's fine. Like I don't care about winning this tournament. Our guys know it's not about winning this tournament. It's about getting better. You're just slowing everything down. But he tries to argue because we had like a reinforced armbar, like an armbar with the wrist.
Yeah.
And his kid on bottom rolled, and there was a 2 count. So like he tried to roll, we kind of held him there, and the ref started counting, and then he came back, was still on bottom. So he goes to challenge the call, and he's like, no, in the rules it says like if we initiate the roll and he's on his back. So like I'm going up and I'm listening, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And like I know the guy, and he had wrestled in college, so I'm like, either he's a complete idiot, or he's like purposely trying to slow down the match, or he's trying to like somehow trick this ref. And the ref's like kind of giving him attention. And I'm like, dude, like knock it off. Let's just freaking wrestle.
Yeah.
So I go back to my corner. I'm like, we're ready. We're ready. And then instead of going back to his corner, he goes up and he says, if you ever question my call again, we're going to have a problem. So I just look up at him. I'm like, are you threatening to fight me at a kids tournament? And he goes, no. But if you do that again, we're going to have a problem. I'm like,
that's crazy.
All right. We're ready to go.
We're ready to go.
And, his kid ended up winning the match. It was close or whatever. And he came after and was like, we're all just blah, 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 doing what's best for our guys. I'm like, dude, whatever. And the guy ended up getting kicked out of the tournament because he did that like 4 more times to other refs.
I got a question for you, because this is something I've always kind of thought about. And I've seen it's kind of on the same lines as that. Is like, at the end of the day, you have what's best for your athletes, right? You're going to back them up. You want what's right. So what state qualifying match or, state placing match?
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
It's you and another guy, and, there's a call, and it works out for your guy. But in your head that the call is absolutely wrong or the score is messed up, and your guy's going to win. Like flat out. He's going to advance. There's no questions. Would you say something about it?
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. Like that's not my job. That's the ref's job. If there's question, right? If they're arguing, I'm gonna tell them like, hey, be ready, stay ready. Like be ready to go. But if it's like they look at me and be like, well, you know what the rule is. Like if they pull me into it and I'm there, I'm like, hey, it's ref's interpretation.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying anything else. After the match, we'd be like, hey, you kind of got lucky with that. That almost didn't, that went our way big time. We can't leave it in the ref's hands or whatever the situation is. Like we can't leave it at that situation. But I mean, long term, like when I say like what's best for the athlete, almost like very rarely is it in the short term. It's always in the long term. So if we're at like a state qualifying event, or this is like, round of 12 or whatever, we're going to do what we need to do to get through. We're not cheating. It's not unfair. But that's not my job to officiate. That's the referee's job. I mean, I like to think I'm an honorable guy, but things happen.
I just hate that scenario. I'm like, I know what you're saying. Like, and most of the time I'm just kind of like, oh, the ref kind of is not that smart. So maybe we'll just let him, do what he does.
I'm just going to sit there and be quiet.
Yeah, but then like there's a situation where the coach is like the score, like help me out, like, and you're friends with the coach. You're like, dude, like come on, like help me.
If it's a score thing, I'll say what the score is, because normally I just like if we're down and then the score is a certain way, I'm like, we just hurry up and get this settled so we can go and wrestle. You know?
Yeah. I did that this weekend. We had an athlete.
Like,
it was like second period. One of my bigger guys. Score was wrong. Ref gave up points, and he didn't know. Ref was not aware of what the score should have been, and the scoreboard was wrong. Other coach goes to the head table. He doesn't even look at me. He's strictly talking to the other coach and the table. I walk over and I say, "What do you think the score is?" He says 5-4 for their guy, and I said, "That is accurate. It should be 5-4." Ref goes, "Cool, let's do it 5-4," and we ended up beating the guy anyways. I think we pinned him, but still, it was like I don't know. I just think. It's what's right. Think if you were the kid.
If it's blood rounds and it's third period and there's about like a minute left and they go up and be like, it's 5-4. And on the
Well,
clock,
frick,
it says 6-3 favoring you guys, but it's supposed to be 5-4 favoring the other guy. I mean, what are you saying, Sean?
Depends. Could I be wrong? I'm
I
not
don't
gonna
know what you're saying there.
I'm not gonna go and tell them what I think the score is if maybe what I think the score is wrong.
So you would lie.
I'm not saying I would lie. In this instance,
I don't know what you're saying.
I was 100% positive that the score was 5-4. I was like, they blatantly missed a takedown or reversal or whatever. I knew the score was 5-4 for the other guy. And I walked up to that table and I was fairly confident that my guy was going to win the match anyways. And he said, the score is 5-4. And if we don't freaking win the match, then we didn't deserve to win the match.
So you do that, like, you know, whoever, right, is wrestling in the match to place, right? Maybe it's a big quarterfinal match or whatever. You're gonna go up and you're gonna do the honorable thing. You're gonna go. Not even ask. You're just gonna go to the table. Scores 5-4.
If you don't, right, then all these matches at state are on Flow. It's gonna be Joffrey and Montanona all over Flow again, and you're gonna look like a big old jackass because you sat in the corner and did nothing.
Okay, we can talk about that. Who's the jackass in that situation? You were there. You were there.
I'm not saying in that situation
what
there was.
doing? It's like, dude, you were calling out kids that had nothing to do with it, saying, "Where the hell is your coach?" It's like, dude, like at that point, it's like way past everything. They turn the lights on. They're not doing the match, dude.
That's
like,
a different scenario. I think
That is what I meant is that, like, if you don't get involved and you know what's right, and I'm not saying in that situation that
because that was murky. That was kind of a murky call.
That was murky. That was murky.
No dead time.
I agree. But say it was the other way around, it was pretty obvious that it should have been the right score, and you sit back and you say nothing. That is going to be all over wrestling media. It's going to be talked about, and you're just going to badmouth. It's not going to badmouth. It just has a negative.
They're going to badmouth Troy. They're going to badmouth Terrapelli.
No, I'm saying you're going to have a negative persona on your program and yourself as a coach.
Yeah. I think in that sense, it's not, that one wasn't on the coaches as much as it was on the ref, like changing the call and not doing bad time. And there just needs to be clarification with that rule. But
I agree.
So those are kind of two different scenarios, but yeah, you're like, I think Sean would say the score, I guess. I don't know. I'm a 50-50.
Unless Brady tugs on my shirt and says don't, then I'll be like, all right.
Like, hey, sit down. No, I don't know. That's a hard one. Moving on.
So before we get back to the Doc B previews and talking about your boy, he made a pretty big weight jump, right, between last season and this season. He wrestled, was it 32s or 26? 32s, right?
32s.
Now he's wrestling 52s. Brady, you made a pretty big weight jump too, right? Because you wrestled 60s your senior year.
Yeah. So I was wrestling 112 as a freshman back when they had 112.
Mm-hmm.
And I only weighed like 107 because we had a senior on our team, and I was a nice guy. I didn't want to I beat him up in the room a lot, and I didn't want to take his spots. I'm like, whatever, I'll just eat and do my thing. So I wrestled 12s. I was a tiny little guy. Sophomore year, I wrestled 125s. Junior year, wrestled 140s and then 160s. So like every year I progressively gained like, 2 or 3 weight classes. But I was also I gained like I grew like 8 inches, I think, between those 4 years. So that's when I grew. I mean, it wasn't like a mass type of thing. It was just literally I was 5'2", probably entering high school, and then I graduated at 6 foot or like a little bit over that. So,
that's crazy, man.
I don't know the exact numbers, but it's somewhere around there, like, 5'2", 5'3", whatever, as a freshman. And then I literally just hit my growth spurt like every year progressively, and that's what it was.
So did you ever really like cut weight in high school? Like manage your weight like that?
No, I would like freshman year, I was eating everything I could, obviously. Sophomore year, I probably missed the night before meal. Like, it's not really cutting, obviously, just whatever. Senior year, same thing. Yeah. Nothing in high school was that hard. Maybe putting a sweatshirt on the last like day of practice or whatever, or just, missing the last couple meals. Nothing crazy. Yeah.
What about in college? Because you wrestled, was it 84?
Yeah. So I actually wrestled 65s my freshman year, and then 74. My junior year, I didn't wrestle actually at all my junior year. So my senior year, I was at 90. I started at 97. I just came off hip surgery, and I was like the heaviest I've ever weighed, like more than I weigh right now. I was just fat and out of shape.
You're a little chunky in your, I think your profile picture.
In that one,
but your student athlete picture.
Oh, yeah. I was so backtrack freshman year. I wrestled 65s. I took 8th at nationals. I was I don't know, wrestled good. Could have done better, but I wasn't too mad. I wasn't cutting much weight. It was like just dieting a little bit smarter, but still nothing hard. And then sophomore year, probably should have been in the finals, honestly, looking back. A guy that I lost to in the semis, I beat at least 2 times that year, maybe 3. Just same thing. I don't know. I don't remember much about that match. I wish I could go back and watch it. National semis. I don't know if I got too overhyped or what it was, but I remember just kind of crashing. Just like it was the close match. And I didn't break. Like I wasn't like, oh freak. It was just like I just ran out of energy. So I don't know what it was. I kind of wish I could go back and watch the match. If it somewhere, maybe my coaches have it back in college, but yeah, I got beat by a guy I beat twice that same year. I would have wrestled Gutches in the finals. I think he ended up winning his 4th that year, or maybe his 3rd that year.
That's Brock Gutches. Yeah,
I had wrestled him like literally 5 times that year. Like the first time, like Southern Oregon finals, and I'm like, all right, this guy's a lefty headlock. I know it. Like I'm not gonna get a headlock. There's no way. I go out there, freaking launches me. I'm like, sick. Cool. So I got pinned by that, and it was a nice headlock. I give it to him. Like I hit it now to this day because I felt it there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's.
Were you chest to chest over under?
So he goes over under, right? Just normal, Greco type position, but he locks his hands, but not like to threaten body lock. He keeps you like in. Like you kind of keep your hips back, like, oh, I'm not going to get lat dropped here. I'm not, nothing's going to happen.
And then he slips it.
And then he just punches that arm over the top, slips, and it's a lefty headlock. So it's a little different. And I don't know if he did some footwork with it, but ultimately, yeah. And I still hit that to this day, like in practice or on Coach Sean, sometimes.
He did show me the lefty headlock because I never knew about it. And he showed me it when I started coaching with him. And I was like, dude, this is pretty nasty.
It's pretty sweet. It's definitely nice. So like that was the first time I wrestled him. Knew what was coming. Couldn't do nothing about it. And then the second time, I think he like teched me. I was like, all right, okay, improvement. I'm still on the mat, I'm not doing better. And then the third time, I think we dueled, and I finally like scored my first points, other than like escapes. Actual I think I took him down and put him on his back, which was cool. I think I only lost by major that time, and then. I don't know. I wrestled him one other time. I don't remember what the score was. I don't remember if it was a major and then decision, or decision and then maybe I got major. I don't know. I wrestled the guy like 4 or 5 times. Turns out he's like 28 years old. I'm like 20, or I was like 20 or 19 because I was young for college. I was only a sophomore. So like it was like the national, or no, it was the regional finals or whatever. I'm like, you're like cutting weight for the second day. I was cutting a tiny bit. I had to just ride the bike, and he was sitting next to me. We had no hard feelings, just compete hard. He's like, dude, how old are you, man? I'm like, I don't know, 20, 21, whatever. Like, how old are you? He's like, oh, it's my birthday's tomorrow, like on the second day. I'm like, how old are you? Going to be 23 or what? 24? He's like, no, like 28. I don't remember exact. It was like either 26 or 28 or something like that. I'm like, dude, holy crap. Makes sense because the guy went to like Boise State, and then I think he transferred to another school and then had his red shirt. But he was a tough wrestler.
Let's go to Southern Oregon. That's me and you. We're 26 and 29.
That's kind of far though. Go to like Vanguard or like
Vanguard would be close. Yeah,
I'd be down. Let's do it.
It was funny though. I mean, throughout college, like I wrestled at Simpson, obviously, but I had some other schools I could have went to. Just coming
from Baptist was on your list, right?
Cal Baptist was pretty high up there. Oregon State was pretty high up. I think I had like West Virginia, a couple D1 sprinkled out D1s, some D2s, a lot of far schools really. And I didn't want to go far. My goal was like literally to stay in California and pay as little amount of money as possible. Cause my family's like super poor family, like literally I got the most money on my FAFSA, you know, everything. So I like literally first generation college student. No one in my family's ever been. So that was my goal. It's like, I don't want to take out loans. This is, you know, I want to get through college and wrestle. That's my goal. But yeah, like Cal State Bakersfield would hit me up every summer, or like at Reno, I would see them, and Everett would be there. And I could probably say this now because Mendoza's, I don't think, coaching anymore, or maybe he's not at
coaching. He's coaching.
Okay.
I don't know how long the statute of limitations is.
I think it's past that, but yeah, he would try to recruit me. I don't know. I mean, hey, Everett, go tell him to come to Bakersfield. Come on. And then Orozco obviously was there too, but I don't know. I just didn't want to live in Bakersfield. That was like my one thing. Like,
Bakersfield is nice, man. We talk about like I don't know what the percentage is, pretty high, but people that wrestle on the team, they get a job. We could have been coaching together. We could have been teaching together. We could have wrestled together at CCB.
You could have had what Brady's gonna have.
We could have had a pretty good lineup, I think.
We Sean could have been best friends, Brady.
Sean could have been 57s. I don't know. You were like what, 65, 74 both?
Me?
Yeah.
I dabbled in some 84 for a year.
A little bit.
I finished 74.
So I could have been wherever in there, honestly. If I really, I don't
Imagine
know.
Brady and Dylan. They're like totally different personalities.
Totally opposite, man.
Completely opposite. Let's real quick talk about one thing that finally, I don't know if it just finally hit media or not, or how recently it did. I've known about it for a little bit, but Mitchell Messenbrink hitting the transfer portal out of CBU at the end of this season.
Wait, where did you hear that?
Don't do it.
I won't confirm my sources, but I saw a post on Twitter and I'm pretty sure it's official.
Dude, man, so I don't like the way that college wrestling is going, okay? Because now it's just like money. I'm working, I'm coaching at like Iowa. Is he going to Iowa?
So what I heard was that he wants to go to somewhere with a ROTC so he can have more emphasis on his freestyle wrestling.
ROTC or RTC?
I'm sorry, RTC.
So I would say Wisconsin, Iowa, or maybe Penn State.
Brady called it. He said,
me and Brian are smart ones. We think alike.
We were talking about
because I have to be careful what I say, but I mean, I know.
Oh, he's got insider information.
What do you know? What do you know?
What does Miguel know?
Portal, like Taylor Lamont, and then who else?
They got that who did they know? Didn't they get an 84 pounder? Or that was last year? They had the guy from Lehigh.
I can't remember, but it's just part of the game, man. If you know somebody who, who's like gives you a program and like, be like, hey, this guy is pretty talented. He's at CBU.
I mean, so that was kind of his way. CBU was interested in Colin, and that was like one thing when I thought about that. I was like, dude, that's a good freaking practice partner that you will have for 4 years. The next 4 years, that'll be your practice partner. That's awesome. That's a guy that you could grow with, that you guys can push each other in the room and just go out there and crush it together. And maybe I'm a big fan of the CBU coaching staff. I think they're going to do really big things in the coming years.
It's hard when their kids get sniped though.
They're smart, but yeah, when another school's dangling, NIL deals, man, I guess it's hard to say no.
It's going to make it really hard for any other school to compete. It's going to make it hard for the CBUs, the CSUBs. Yeah. I mean, for any of these mid-level programs, it's going to be tough. You might have a diamond in the rough, and they might come into fruition in college. If you do well, you start making some noise, you're going to get sniped. I had the same feeling about Chance Rich. Like if he, had some success last year, if he would have placed, or even the year before, I mean, he might have been wrestling somewhere else this year.
That is true. He also looked really good this weekend at Southern Scuffle.
He had a close match with Fix.
Yeah.
But there was like 4 minutes of riding time.
A lot of riding time.
And right. I still, Chance, I think is literally one match away from being an All-American the last 2 years, which is frustrating. I'm currently in the room where he used to live. I think with Dayton Fix, he has so many close matches. It's hard kind of measuring that, man, yeah.
I was saying that same thing to you, Sean. He just, you could be 2-1 with Dayton Fix or 5-1. It's just like very,
the chances that you actually had to win that match are pretty much the same though, from 2-1 to 5-1. And it's freaking frustrating because Brady and I were literally, like you said, talking about this. Like, Dayton Fix is so athletic, he's so explosive, but he wrestles so reserved. And it's like I don't know. And it's a style, right? It's style.
Predictable too. Like, I didn't even see the match. I didn't even see the match. But one of my wrestlers was talking about it. I'm like, yeah, I saw the score was 4-1. Let me tell you what happened. Dayton Fix got a quick takedown, let him go, didn't get the second takedown. He probably got out either second or third period, and then he wrote him out the other part. So I'm like, there's probably going to be like 4 minutes of riding time. And the guy was like, yeah.
And it's crazy because Fix will go out there and he'll like inside trip a guy like to his back, like in the first 30 seconds. It's like, want to do that again? And he's like, no, I'm going to just ride crab.
I mean, is he trying to save himself? Like, is this a part of the game plan? Open up. And I know that's probably not, I don't think that's coached, because I've seen, I used to watch like college practices whenever there was video. Like, I would always watch college practices when I was in high school. I remember Smith was talking to Chris Perry, and he was like, you need to open up more and take more attacks in practice so you can get more data, more information. And I feel like it's the same thing when you're trying to become a national champ, which you haven't been yet, Dayton Fix. You're a 3-time finalist. And what do I know? But, I think it would help if you tried to score a little bit more and separate yourself. Because, Roman Bravo Young's doing that.
Yeah. So that was my argument about Penn State. Now, a lot of people are haters on Penn State because they're the top of the totem pole. I'm a huge fan and a believer in them because they freaking push people and they widen the gap. RBY. He's not wrestling anymore, but
Max Dean.
Kirk Vliet.
Yeah, those guys are pushing the pace and they're trying to score, not Max Dean. But
Kirk Vliet's a prime example. He's literally went from the bottom, like I don't know, he wasn't All-American, or I don't know, maybe he was 8th or something, and then
he's the Drake of college wrestling.
Drake
started from the bottom.
Now we're here.
And he's not from, isn't he foreign?
I don't know.
Is he from like Canada or something?
I just like that style. Like, if you're the top of the totem pole, so to say, in the NCAA rankings, like, and you go to a tournament like Southern Scuffle, where I'm not going to say Fix's weight wasn't tough, but I don't think there was anyone ranked in the top 15 in his weight. Like, he should bone it. You're a 3-time NCAA finalist. You should probably bonus your way through the tournament, my opinion.
He doesn't bonus a lot of people.
But it's not even that he's not taking them down and cutting them. He's literally double boots and just keeping the guy flat on his belly. It's not even trying to.
It's boring. It's boring to watch. And
I don't know how he doesn't get called for stalling. That's got to be stalling. If you have double boots in for 15 seconds and you don't do anything, it should be stalemate the first time, second time stall.
I agree. I was talking to a wrestler today about backpacking. When guys go head and arm chest wrap on top with legs in, that should be first one after 10 seconds, stalemate, and then should be a stall, because you're not doing anything. You're literally just holding on for dear life. I hate that.
Oh, yeah, I think he's riding you.
Yeah, you're riding me, but you're not working towards it.
You do that in practice?
No, I'm working for
put double boots in and just.
No, if I put double boots in, I'm going power half, freaking Coach Cobb style, and I'm ripping your shoulder off.
Okay. I thought you were trying to think of another move to do from there.
I thought he was too.
I was trying to think of Coach Cobb. I was trying to remember Coach Cobb's name, and then I was like, "Oh, Coach
I'm gonna go power half, and then I'm gonna power half, and I'll do the one where I kind of lock like here and like put it over his head."
My favorite one to do from there is the double power half. That one works pretty well.
Full Nelson.
Oh, is that what that's called?
How do you set up your power half? Pop quiz. How do you set up your power half?
With the leg in? It's a leg, one leg in preferred for me. I don't really like doing it from double legs in. I like one leg in, elevating that leg, knee off the mat, floating knee, attacking the opposite shoulder of the leg that's in, going elbow to elbow, heavy on the back of the head, making sure their head is, I like to turn the head. I don't like it when their forehead's in the mat. I think they're stronger there. I like to actually turn the head. Preferably into the half if you can. But it just hurts more if they turn their head away. I'm still gonna crank. And then while you're elbow to elbow and back and pushing against the back of their head, you lift and keep that. And then that gives you the space to come across.
So,
And
so
then
you're talking about power half when they have when they're in their base more,
no flat.
when they're flat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm elbow to elbow. This one's in the back of their head, preferably
Uh-huh.
turning their head to the side. I'm lifting at the
Uh-huh.
elbow and I'm pushing down on the head, and that gives me enough room to come across. And then the biggest thing I think where kids mess up is they try to keep their legs in with the power half, and you lose you could just what I call slip the legs, and the legs come out, and then you just hop over, and now you have a super deep half, and everyone knows how to finish that. That's pretty standard. Some guys can keep a leg in if they're longer. I have short, stubby legs, so it's just the way I was made.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of slip my legs.
I started doing more. I learned this from Martin, actually, Joseph Martin, how to actually get the legs in when they're prone, and just being kind of dirty and just kept both their wrists. And when they try to build up, just kind of dig my heels in like they're two spurs, and then I get the legs in that way. Or I get one in, and when they try to sit, I put the other one in, and then
Yeah.
I got just the me, big booty, big legs. I can just give them all the power, right? But I attack the wrist, and then I thread it, and
Yeah.
I pick it up, and then I punch it across. And then I slowly turn them. Like I get my back points first, and then I try to work for the fall. That you don't want to rush that position.
I agree about that because I saw that a lot this last weekend. People get an opportunity to put someone on their back and they run so hard and then they go shoot right over.
They go like, sure.
Shoot.
Hey, so you guys show technique videos. What are your thoughts? Like, you guys see stuff on like Instagram. So let me tell you, I saw something yesterday, and this guy was showing this technique wrong, and I think I wrote like 2 or 3 sentences on a comment, and then I deleted it. I'm like, nah, it's fine. I don't need to tell him. But the guy has like this huge following, and I didn't really look at the other stuff that he was posting.
Say his
I'm like,
name.
you're not doing that right. And it wasn't like anything. Like it was kind of a higher, a higher risk move. It's not like a common move. I mean, do you guys see that stuff? Because I know you guys post technique videos on your Instagram.
I feel like everyone has different ways of hitting moves. So
Well, his way was wrong.
What was the guy? Just
tell me what the move was at least.
It
and
was
how you were doing
Nova
it.
Wrestling Club, I think,
Cobra.
in Virginia. And they were doing a Kolak cradle, a standing cradle from a head outside. So the technique is you trap the head, you keep the head tight, and you thread one leg in, like in between his legs, and you're not hooking, you're kind of keeping it straight, you're using it more to block. And then you go to your hip while you keep the head, and then you grab the ankle, you go elbow deep around it, and then you pull and you roll. And as you roll, you lock up a cradle, but I pull my leg out and I get my hips on top, because you want to finish a cradle. I mean, there's 2 ways. The higher percentage way is chest to chest and posting your head. But the way he was showing it, he was like ending up in between the guy's legs. I'm like, that's silly.
I'd have to see that.
I'm
Yeah.
not seeing it.
Just try to take my word. It's silly. They're dumb.
I got you.
I mean, I had an argument with another coach in person that he said near side cradle. I'm sorry, cross face cradle, take it back over, go top knee in the ribs. I'm like, no, his bottom knee.
I mean, you can do that, I guess.
No way. Because then I did it because I was like, there's no way. And it loosens the entire cradle up. The guy slips his head out because you're here.
I mean, you can do it.
Going bottom in the ribs,
but it's not what's taught.
Instead of going here, bottom knee in the ribs, you're going across, and then this elbow gets loose, and then the head just right out.
Well, how are you an expert, Sean? Weren't we talking about how, like, instead of kicking away when somebody drops your ankle when you're on bottom, you turn in and you try to scramble?
That depends on the circumstance.
Always kick away. I yelled at a kid today because he kicked and then did a dive under, like you try to roll underneath and then leg pass. I'm like, why are you leg passing when you're on bottom, fool? You're giving up your ball.
That's the problem. That's the problem. And I had a kid do that today. I was like, you cannot scramble on bottom, dude. I mean, especially in college, but in high school, even worse. I mean, sorry, college, even worse. High school too. Like the smart teams, they'll set it up. They want you to scramble and like they'll catch you. Like Buchanan does that all the time. They'll like almost bait you into a scramble when you're on bottom, and then they'll be right there next to the coach's ear, like, or the ref's ear. He's on, but we're still on top. That's backs. Like you see, I've seen it time and time and time again. Like,
yeah, it's frustrating. I think kids, like, they just instinctively, he has my leg, I have his leg, we're in a scramble. Dude, no, you're on bottom, homie. So like when I wrestle kids,
kick away going over the top of them though.
You're still on bottom. I'm strong here.
You can kick away, but going over the top of them. So they're here holding on this leg, and now you're kicking that way. Actually, is harder to hold on to that leg.
So you're saying kick over, but still kick away.
Yeah. You're just changing the direction. Whereas if you kick away from me and I'm holding on the leg, well, your other leg that you're driving off of to kick is right here, and all I have to go is.
No, that's why you kind of spread your legs out like this.
Right. You're supposed to drive in a circle away from your free leg.
Yeah.
So if he's on my right leg, I'm going to drive in a circle to my right because my left leg is my free leg and it's driving out wide. Yes. Sure. There are circumstances where you can turn around and kick back over the top.
You'll have to show me.
Do it this weekend.
I'll do it this weekend.
There we go.
I'll bring my shoes.
Coach Brady will not be there, unfortunately.
Brady, you're not going?
I got a pregnant wife. She's probably could be having the baby literally right now, and I don't know.
Well, you closed the door earlier, didn't you?
I did. No, she's in there. She's fine, but she literally could have it. I mean, the due date.
Baby could be out there right now.
The due date's like 1 week, so I mean, it's literally give or take. So I don't want to be up in Clovis when she calls and says, "Hey, yeah." Did you guys see that?
A good call.
Did you see so you know who RG3 is, right? Like quarterback, like Heisman winner.
Wait, what are you gonna say? Are you good? When he said, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, so he was commenting. I don't remember which bowl game it was the other day, like 3 days.
Yeah.
His wife calls him. He's on the broadcast on the field on the sideline. It was TCU and Michigan semifinal game. He's literally on the sideline of the game, and his wife calls, and you can see it on live TV. He's like, "Hello, you're in the hospital." Oh, and he like takes his headset off. The guys are like, "What are you doing?" He starts sprinting down the sideline. He catches a flight, I guess, to wherever he made it, I guess. But crazy. I don't want to have that happen.
He's had like a couple interesting moments in his commentary. I thought you were going to talk about something else. He was like a few weeks ago said something not like, I guess you could say it's definitely refers to a racial period. I was like, what? Like he just like let it slip or what?
Yeah.
But I thought you were gonna bring that up. So
no.
Why are you bringing that up, man?
So I'll be back. I'll be back here with some B guys and some other backups and JV guys at a tournament.
We got some starters going.
Yeah, that's true. Some non Doc B qualifiers, I should say.
I think you should do pretty good this weekend. I think we should be top 3.
For sure. It'll just be better, closer to home. I'll be only like 30 minutes away, so I'll be on call or on standby. Sadly, but no, that's for a good reason. So
are you gonna have another coach with you?
Yeah, we got I think 1 or maybe 2 more, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're by yourself and it's like, sorry kids.
Yeah.
Get your guys out here.
Sean, I forgot to tell you, you might have to take a pair of shoes up to Doc B with you for this kid wants to buy them.
I have not plugged the shoe biz on. I don't think I plugged it on this podcast yet.
Well, before you came on, we were talking about it. We got to talk the shoe game. So first of all, I know both of you guys are shoe connoisseurs, but what really drove you to start slinging these leather lace devils out here on the interwebs?
For me, it was like late high school. I started to figure out there was a shoe, game or whatever. And kids were like, "Oh, let me get your shoes." I'm like, "Why do you want my shoes?" Well, they're like, "Because they're rare." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't want you to have them because they're rare. I'm going to keep them now. And I like them." So at that point, I think it was like Rulons was my shoes that I had. I had those throughout high school a lot. And then I had some Inflicts. And then when I got to college, I had a teammate who like kind of was in the game. And he's like, "Dude, you could like trade those for what the shoe you've been telling me about," which was like Combat Speeds, like the 2s, like the old school ones, like Abyss.
Yes.
And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So he showed me this at the time. It was Flickr. That was like a little, it was like a photo app, but it was like for trading shoes. So I got on there and I traded like a couple pairs and turned into more. And then I started acquiring more shoes a lot and just picking up, shoes that I used to have back home or old shoes when I was little and all. I mean, yeah. And now it's on Instagram. Flickr's kind of dead. That was the old school app. Now it's just Instagram. It's crazy.
So what's the Instagram at?
The Instagram is funky_all_day. So funky all day.
We also have merch.
You got merch?
We got merch, brother.
We do got some merch.
I actually
when are we going to get when is Simple Man Wrestling Podcast going to get sponsored by Funky All Day?
We can sponsor this as soon as Sean gets a couch in there and some, I'll bring the microphone in. We'll make it a thing.
Yeah, I'm down.
What's that?
So these just came in like a couple hours ago. I haven't even had the chance to open them yet. I think I know what they are. Not 1,000% positive, but they are what I think they are. I've never owned a pair.
I'm gonna take just a guess here. Navy and white Nike Freaks.
No, I think you're wrong, brother.
All wrong.
Never owned a pair of these.
What are they? Uglies. Oh, Scrap Lives. No.
Scrap Lives.
Nice.
Oh, those are cool.
Never had a pair. These were in good condition.
You got them from Wrestling Mart?
No, I got these off of someone for $40.
Instagram,
$40. Someone was selling them. I looked at the toes. The toes are pretty decent. They're not beat to crap.
Sean, do you like toes or soles more on a shoe?
Oh, that's tough. Soles, like I've been wearing the A6 like TWRs, the old school like
Russian ones,
and they are so uncomfortable. There's no soles in them. But I have some other pairs where the toes are like blown out and it's kind of hard to wear the shoes at that point. So I just look for decent shoes that are my size. These will probably be worn tomorrow.
There you go.
Me and Brady always are competing at practice who has the better drip. The high school kids might have said that we've got the most drip in California as a coaching staff. I don't know. It's a rumor.
I really liked your shirts. We run the league.
You like that?
I thought they were kind of silly because like for us, like league is never like a big deal. And I would suspect that it's probably not as big of a deal for you guys either.
No.
But for like administration and for stuff like that, it's important to win a league, Yeah,
it's just something that the kids can brag about and whatnot.
And
we run the league.
When we took over, like it was kind of a big deal. Our team was terrible. I mean, we were bad. We're 5-time champs now, or going on 6, I think. But like before that, they were so bad.
No, we won 6 last year. We're going on 7.
No, I think it was 5 last year.
Oh, I think you're right. It was 5. You were going on 6.
So how did this coaching staff come about?
Well, Brady got there before me.
So why'd you go there, Brady? You got a job there?
You got to backtrack a little bit. So graduating high school, I went back to my high school, Steel Canyon. I worked there for a year. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the time. I got like it's not like a substitute, but it was like a study hall type thing. The pay was all right, but it just kind of got my foot in the door. And I knew I wanted to coach. I was like, I definitely want to coach. So I started coach. I was assistant coach there We had a pretty good year. I think we had 3 state qualifiers. We took 3rd in our section behind Poway and like Rancho Bernardo or whatever, which was really good. My team, they were bad. Like I was the only like state qualifier for like 10 years on there. Maybe we had one other one, but we had a good year. But just the administration over there and like the coach, I'm good friends with the coach. I've known him for a long time, but just didn't see eye to eye on everything. Not that everything matters, but like the important things, it's hard if you're going to really try to build a program and those things aren't aligning. So I moved at the time back to the Bay Area, coached at Las Lomas for a year, which was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I just lived up there and I happened to like live a mile away from the school. And I was just doing my teaching credential at the time. And I Googled search like closest high schools and it was Las Lomas. And I was like, Las Lomas, I know Jason Welch. Like that dude is a savage.
Yeah.
So I like looked up up the coach and it happened to be his dad. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna call him up. Called him up. 30 seconds later, he's like, dude, come down right now. We got practice like right now. I'm like, all right, can't make it tonight. I got college class, but tomorrow, if you guys practice, I'm down. So I coached there for a year. It was sweet. Got to know those guys really good. They knew I was only going to be there for a year. I was like literally living there to do my credential. And then we were going to move back with my wife and get married in San Diego. So it's kind of sucky that but they were like, oh yeah, dude, we'd love to help. So coming back, I didn't really know where I was going to coach or do. I was just kind of still in the middle of, I was about to do my student teaching. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going to coach at, but I know I'm going to coach. And one of my buddies I wrestled in high school with, he's like the freshman coach at our school. He's like, dude, you want to come? I'll pay you to come coach our youth team. And it was like in the summer. And I was like, sure, I'll take some extra money. So I started coaching there. And then Jesse, who's our head coach, I hated that guy in high school. Hated him. I still hate him sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But we were kind of rivals in high school. Our schools were, and he just had this look, just always just angry, and
still has it.
We had
I know what you're talking about.
we had some run-ins in high school, trash talk and this and that. So turns out he's a better guy than he was in high school. He kind of turned a new leaf, I think he'll tell you that. But no, I had a misinterpretation of who he was and whatever. So and he knows this. We've shared this story many times, but I was like, all right, I'll have to give it a shot. So I started coaching there that first year. So it was just me, him, and the freshman guy. We're like the only 3 coaches. And we had a couple decent guys. I think one guy lost the match to go to state or whatever. And then we had, I think we won league that year. But at the end of the season, I was kind of like, oh, I think Sean just graduated or just left college at that time or just been back or something. And I was like, I'm gonna hit up Sean. Like, why not? Like, have him come wrestle with my guys, give him some good looks for postseason. So he came in and then started helping out from that point on. So he came in at the end of that year, like towards CIF state or CIF master state. And then, the rest is kind of history. We just kind of kept expanding from that point on. And now we got a pretty sweet and dripped out coaching staff.
Right. Yeah. I had come back from college, got hired for my job. And then in between days off, I'd go help out at my alma mater, Mater Dei Catholic. And I would just really go in there to beat kids up. Really, I wasn't like in there consistently, but I would just go show up, wrestle, show a couple things, wrestle live, and then Brady was like, hey dude, like we're getting ready for postseason. I got a couple guys that could really use your help. They're bigger. They were like 70s and 60s or 60s and 80s or something like that. So I went in the room. This is the old room. And Granite, where we're coaching now, I had been there multiple times. Like one of my best friends from high school graduated from there. I was in their room all the time during summer and whatnot while I was in high school. So I was familiar with the school, and it's close to my house or my parents' house at the time. So I went, helped out, Brady and I kind of reconnected. We were always cool, but we had never really gotten to know each other that well. And so we kind of reconnected. Went into summer, I kind of hung around, still just helping out, having fun. And then came to a point where they were like, hey, you want to just volunteer this next year as a coach? And I was like, sure. And then the subsequent year after that, put myself on the coaching staff as an assistant, and we brought a youth program over to merge with our current youth program that we had at the time. And so we kind of merged 2 youth programs into one, and yeah, it's rocking and rolling.
So I've heard this from Sean about what his exact role is. Brady, can you confirm, is Sean still, is it the coach of technique? Is that what your role is?
He's the social media advisor
Let's go.
and co-technique, co-technician, I should say.
Coach technician.
That's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
we got primarily, I would say it's Sean, me, and then we have Coach Angel, who he does from time to time show stuff, but I mean,
Big tall guy.
big
Yeah.
tall guy. He shows some stuff, but I mean, for the most part, it's me and Sean showing all the technique, and it's not like a hierarchy of like, oh, you're the technician guy. Really, it's just we all come together.
Sean, I mean, that's what it sounded like. He's the master technician.
He's got some good stuff, but it's a collective effort. It's like, hey, this is what we're gonna show, and you can show it. It doesn't matter who shows it at this point, as long as you're showing it correctly.
And I don't know if other rooms do this because I don't practice with other high schools, so I have no idea. But when I show a move or Brady shows a move, at the conclusion of us showing that move, we look at each other and we say, you have anything to add to that? And one of us might have 2 cents. Maybe we're like, nope, ready 1, 2, and we're going. Or someone's like, oh yeah, dude, this, or like, more emphasis on this portion of that move, or, hey, yeah, you did everything right, but, and then we'll explain something. So we just kind of play ping pong off each other, and it works really well.
I always try to be careful with that because kids have short attention spans. So if he goes past like 2 or 3 minutes of trying to explain something, it's like, you're gonna have to show that again, or you're gonna go right out and they're gonna practice it and they're like, dude, you just missed like half of it.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. We try to keep things short and sweet. Like we don't show a lot of like if I was gonna show a tilts series, like I'm not gonna show 4 tilts in a row. There's no way, because the kids will go out there, and the elite kids, they can do all 4 tilts because they've done them before multiple times. But like a majority of those kids, they're going to be like mind melting, not knowing a single thing. They're not even going to remember just the simple tight waist chop. They're going to be like, I don't remember a single thing. So we really try to break it down 1 move at a time, bring them in, get it in quick, run it by each other. You got anything? Yes, no. You got anything? Yes, no. Cool. Go. And then hit it. And then give them a couple minutes, bring them back, and do the same thing again.
How would you guys describe like your system that you try to implement? And then, like how would you maybe identify your style? And then, what maybe techniques you focus on? And then secondly, like, how do you try to implement that throughout like the season?
Sounds like he's trying to game us for state.
I know.
I'm not trying to game. Like, here's the thing. Like, kind of what Brady mentioned earlier. Like, you were previewing the Doc B. Honestly, I have no idea who we wrestle half the time. Like, I'm so focused on our guys.
Right.
One of those 6-pounders, wrestled something, or one of our 13-pounders wrestled something that's pretty tough, I guess. And after I was like, I looked up the rankings, like, oh, that guy's like ranked like 5th in state. That's cool. But after I'm like, dude, you can hang with that kid. Like, I don't think most of these high school kids are that good anyways,
Right. No, I agree. I think what Brady and I do a really good job of, and the rest of our coaching staff, is that we let our wrestlers have their own style. We aren't like, everyone is going to do this, this, and this. Yes, we have like our favorites. Like if you want to be a tight waist chop wrist rider, cool. If you want to be a legger, cool. You want to be a crab rider, cool. But we instill the proper ways to do those things, which usually, for the 3 things I talked about, which was top riding, most of that includes forward pressure, keeping your hips tight, and being relentless, right? Being a dog on top. And we kind of take mainly like core values, I guess you could say, for certain areas in wrestling, and apply that to our athlete's style. We're not one-dimensional. Everyone is going to be hand fight to a high C double, and on top we're gonna do this. And if on bottom we're gonna inside leg stand up only, I don't want to see anyone outside leg stand up. Like You got to evolve.
There's situational wrestling. I guess what my thing is, like, if you look at, like, I feel like Clovis is a great example because they've been very successful with it. It's very much staying in position, keeping it really fundamental on the mat, not necessarily creating a lot of offense, but being really defensively responsible and learning how to hand fight and stay in position in the hand fight. And you basically are able to neutralize a lot of offense. Now, they're better guys, like you said, they're able to kind of develop their own style, but like their bare minimum, right, is like everyone knows how to wrestle like in a low stance, sometimes even a 3-point stance. So like I'd say that was kind of like the character of the Clovis style. I'm not sure if it's changing or if it's necessarily evolving. I haven't been paying too much attention, but for a long time, that's where it's been. So I guess that was kind of my question.
I don't think we have that kind of mold, but I know exactly what you're talking about, where like, sir, they want, hey, this is the minimum, we need this. And maybe that's something we look at. I don't know. I think that's kind of evolving. Like you said, I think teams are probably going away from that, where back in the day, they might've been like, hey, we're all going to do this on the team. And then, from there we have this rest. I think, like Sean said it best, we try to appeal to what our wrestlers do best and kind of let them have that, oh gosh, a lot of alarms. Let them have that creativity of what they do best and let them, use that part, but also having the basis of, this is what we do this is, what we know, and everyone on our team knows how to do this correctly on top, bottom, and neutral, or whatever it is.
You got to give them freedom. And if, like, I'm super big on trying to build a wrestler's creativity. I think that's huge. I think if a wrestler can be creative and start, in flow, finding different moves, finding it through drill, X, Y, and Z, I think it just makes them that much more dangerous. They start getting creative and they start, I'm not saying they're making things up. Like, I'm not saying wrestlers, like, you got to make things up, but you can expand your what do we say, toolbox? What was the
Full circle?
Full
circle.
Whole circle, dude. But no, you're just expanding your wrestling mindset and what and what you are capable of doing. And I think a lot of that just comes from being creative.
I think creativity doesn't necessarily come from nothing. It's hard, I think, for a lot of kids until they've been wrestling for a really long time. I would even say for me personally, until I really got into college, and even after that, I try to figure out like what exactly my personal way of wrestling is. It wasn't really until after, because I felt I became a lot more thoughtful about wrestling. But I think when you look at like I like studying other sports and other art forms and trying to apply it to wrestling. So like with the Bulls used to cater to Michael Jordan, and would always be very competitive, but couldn't win the NWA the NBA championship. But it was when I can't remember the guy's name. This guy that played for is like an OG from like Kansas State, had something called the triangle offense. And that actually allows players to be creative, because the way that the system is like these movements on the court, and it allows for the individual player to kind of play to their strengths while also operating out of the system. So when I think about trying to build a system for our team, is looking at like trends and looking at like fundamentally what works, and trying to find a common hold or a series of holds that can kind of feed into each other. That's going to allow us to take advantage of the trend that's happening with wrestling. So we see a lot of trend, and you see this a lot with like the better high schoolers and the better college guys, but there's a lot of like use the tie, clear it, snap, get an angle, fake, like a lot of motion. So my thinking is, what's a way where we can kind of actually stop that motion, slow it down, and set our own pace. So for me, I'm actually starting to kind of go back in, because my club coach is really good at 2-on-1. So I'm actually going back to like teaching the 2-on-1 to slow guys down, and where we actually can, now we know, like, for every reaction that you have when I get a 2-on-1 on you, I have offense. And then I use my 2-on-1. And then when guys start clearing it and they're really circling hard, well, it actually opens up your underhook on the other side. So now we have 2 holds that we can use. And then obviously there's stuff like your down block, go behind. That's everybody needs to learn a down block, go behind, baseline defense, etc. Bottom, you don't necessarily need to get too creative with that, like getting off your butt, being able to inside stand up, being able to feel pressure and getting your weight back. And then top, it's kind of the same thing. Like what's something you can get kind of quick, especially off of a takedown. And a tilt's usually good for that. And then how can you build off of your tilt? So like whether it's a near wrist or throwing a leg in, but something that, okay, I get my quick tilt, I break them down. I don't give them that arm back. I use it to break them down. And then I can release and look for my near wrist or look for my arm bar, look for my half, etc. So having everything that operates out of the system. But then if somebody's really long and langy and they can start learning cradles and they can start doing legs in and stuff like that, I mean, I think it's important for guys to be able to learn that and have time to develop that too.
I agree with everything you just said.
Okay, good.
I'm not trying to fight you.
Well, hey, it's been 2 hours. We can keep talking.
No, I gotta go to bed. I've been up
2 for 3.
I've been up since 2:30 this morning. So
all right. Well, quit throwing yourself a pity party, Sean. Like you do this every time.
Dude,
no one feels bad for you,
real
dude.
quick before we break, we always do this. So we ran practice today, 9 to 11. I got up at 02:02, went to work. We were short staffed, so I went into work. 9 a.m. went over to wrestling practice. Okay, got my workout in with the guys. We had a really hard practice. Showered, and then I was supposed to go to like this 3-hour. It was like a scenario thing with work where it was a lot of basically combat stuff. And I was like, dude, I'm dead dog tired. I don't want to go. And I was about to text the guy in charge and be like, hey, I'm not feeling the best. And I was like, I don't know if I should go. And then I was like, no, I just freaking chewed my guys out for not putting it, on the mat today. And I have to go do the same thing. So I went, and then so I'm really tired though. I'm going to enjoy sleeping tonight, but I'm just throwing that out there. Sometimes you got to check yourself.
Yeah, check yourself. Stop throwing yourself a pity party and patting yourself on the back.
I will stay up.
No one feels sorry for you.
Let's do another hour.
Well, no, I mean, we got to do what's best with the athletes. We got to make sure we're rested,
We want to make sure you guys are rested, so you guys can do good at Doc B, be good coaches and all that.
I'm going to enjoy that.
I mean, I get that burrito on my belly. I'm good to go. Okay.
Oh,
last thing.
Is Tablet wrestling?
Is who?
What's his name?
Tablet.
Tablets can't wrestle, man. They're made from Apple. They don't know how to wrestle, bro.
Stupid, dude. Stupid. Is he going 60s?
Is who going 60s?
The guy on your team.
We have a guy on our team going 60s. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your last question?
Guys actually going 60s.
What's your last question?
We'll be there.
What are you gonna do?
Oh, you need to tell us what happened your senior year.
Oh my gosh! All
I
right.
forgot. Okay, 30 more minutes. Go ahead.
Couldn't get out of that one. Oh man.
You reminded me actually. If you didn't say anything, I would have forgot.
Well, you said my last question, then Sean said something about
I
tablet.
was going to talk about something else.
Oh, tablets.
Stop distracting.
So, obviously my sophomore year, I took fifth at nationals. My junior year, I had hip surgery. I was out the whole entire season. It was terrible. My senior year, I come back. I think I lost my first match. Literally, it was at just small. It was a Southern Oregon kid. I was wrestling 97s. I was not a 97 pounder. I was even a small 84 pounder, but I just happened to be so big from surgery that I was just getting back everything. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna wrestle this easy tournament, wrestle 97s, get a couple wins and then drop down to 84s. I get beat my first match back. I was terrible. It was probably the worst I've ever felt in a match. My legs did not work. It was just everything I did for surgery and PT felt good until I actually wrestled that first match. And I was like, holy crap. And I just I got beat. I think I don't know, bad.
So it felt good, doing live at practice and stuff like that. But the first match, it was oh geez.
Yeah, I felt like what happened to David Taylor. I was winning, and then I just absolutely felt paralyzed. Just this guy just was doing whatever he wants. I think I lost a close match, but I I wasn't doing anything. I had a good lead and I just like sat on it and freaking got beat. Probably was the best thing. It was a Southern Oregon guy. Kid turned out being a really good kid. He was tough, but so I dropped down to 84. I wrestled the rest of that tournament. I felt fine after that. It was weird. Like I came back, I think got third. So dropped back down to 84s. Had a pretty good season. I don't know. I had some good results. I think I made like the round of 16 or something at Reno, back when Reno was pretty tough college tournament. I don't know. I lost to like some Illinois guy in the quarterfinals. He was pretty good. He was like a Big Ten runner-up or
Like
something.
Reyes or somebody like that.
I think it was Kepke or Kepka or something like that. He was
okay. Yeah,
he was decent. He was like, I think he was around a 12 at nationals or something like that. But I ended up being like ranked number 1 in NAI, whatever, which I was up there all year pretty high just from beating some guys. And like I had one tournament where it was like the Menlo Open. I beat like 4 guys that were like all like right above me or like right around me. It was like I beat like number 4, 3, and 1, like all in one tournament, quarters, semis, finals. And I beat the guy that was like the number 1 guy. He was all hyped from Southern Oregon. He's pretty good. Ryan McWaters. I don't remember if you guys know who he was. He ended up being like a Olympic guy. I don't know, something like that. He was tough, but I was ranked number 1 going into like right before regionals. And I do this thing every year. I go snowboarding once a year. Literally, I go once a year. Always, I've done it my whole entire like since high school. And I went snowboarding and I hit this jump that I've hit like 1,000 times, and I just caught an edge. I didn't even fall hard. I just like rolled. I went to like get up, and my shoulder was like, oh gosh, like no thanks. And my buddies around me like rode up to me, obviously because they saw me fall, and they're like, dude, your shoulder like it's not right. It's like way higher. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, dude, it's like literally like out of place. I'm like, pop it back in. We're good. So like I get him to try to do it, and he's like, dude, I'm not gonna hurt you. So I ride down. Turns out I tore my labrum, separated my AC joint, did a whole bunch of crap to my shoulder right before regionals. And yeah, probably would have been I mean, if I beat the same guys that I had beat before, I would have been a national finalist. And I would have liked to wrestle the guy in the finals that ended up winning it. He was a pretty good wrestler, but didn't get the opportunity.
So that was about what, like 7 years ago?
2016. Yeah.
So I'm good at math, Sean. So like, do you? I mean, does time heal those wounds, or is that something that kind of sticks with you?
I think it's a good learning experience and teaching for the kids and everything. Looking back, it sucks. I mean, I can't do anything about it now. All I can say is I could have been in the national finals, but who cares, really?
You still can, Brady.
I still can. You're absolutely right, Brian. No, I think it's good to use it as a learning experience for the kids. But
that's definitely the best silver lining you can get out of that situation.
For sure.
Coach.
So if you want to know more funny stuff, I don't know if this is not a big story, but I think some coaches know this. So since I was ranked number 1 at the time, we had like a dual meet with Southern Oregon like the next week. And my coach was like texting with the coach we were going to wrestle in a dual meet. And his guy was the guy that I beat. He was the number 1 guy. He was from Southern Oregon. And that coach, the Southern Oregon coach, is the guy that like does the rankings. He's like the head guy. He's the committee or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's texting with our coach. We have a dual meet, and my coach says to him in a text, "Oh, I just lost my 84 pounder. Like, that's it." And the other coach took that as me dying, because he said like he's like, I lost him in a snowboarding accident or something like that. I don't know the word. I don't know the exact thing. So that Southern Oregon coach puts this like memorial thing out there like on Facebook.
Wait, I did not know this.
This is a true story. And like this whole like thing, like, oh, he was a great wrestler. I've wrestled him. Like my guys have wrestled him for 4 years. He's ranked number 1. Like currently, like sadly passed away in a snowboarding accident.
Oh my God.
So he posts this on like national forums and like on Facebook or whatever. So I don't know this. I'm in the middle of class and my assistant coach calls me in the middle of class. I'm in like finance class or something. And I'm like, why is my coach calling me? Like, it's like 9 a.m. What are we doing? I step out of class. I'm like, coach, what's up? Like, you're literally calling me in the middle of class. He's like, coach, he's like, Brady, you need to call your mom right now. Like, this is serious. I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? If she sees anything on social media, tell her not to freak out. Like, I'm like, all right. So he tells me the story and oh my gosh, it's too funny. Yeah.
Oh my God. I did not know
Do you have like a screenshot or like a newspaper?
I'm sure there's something out there, but it's freaking funny. My teammates, like from that point on, they're like, oh, you came back from the dead and this and that, like all this. Funny enough, so that coach, I saw him at Reno last year. He's like coaching in Oregon at some high school now. He's just kind of retired, helping out. He says the same thing. He comes up to me. He's like, dude, good to see you alive, man. Like, holy crap. Like, do you remember that whole scenario? Like, I'm like, yes. Like, oh, it was.
Dude, that's nuts. That's freaking crazy.
That's too funny.
I can't believe that, bro.
Sean didn't even know that story. I think
I didn't know that story.
I bet he texted back like, "Oh, I lost, our 84-pounder. You know
who that story reminds me of?
Like, I'm sorry for your loss."
You know who that story reminds me of? Like, who would do that if they were a coach?
What do you mean?
Like that other coach? There's a certain individual we all know who would have done that. Posted something so silly like that.
Everett? I don't know.
Everett Pratt, 100% would be like, oh my God, he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh wow.
All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, guys. Well, Brady, it was good to have you. Thanks for being on. And I'm down. I'm down to have you as a regular guest.
I'm in.
You can commit to that.
I've been initiated. Yeah. No, I'm down. I was telling Sean that I want to turn his thing into actual podcasting. I mean, we can make it at my house. My house is not that cool. Sean's is a little better, but
this isn't that cool. When I buy a new house, we will make sure that there's a designated room for our podcast.
Buy your house after you buy your new house.
We can do that.
You can do that. You can do that.
And Brian can move down here. And
if you pay my rent,
why don't you just live with me for free?
With your wife?
Sure.
For free, huh? Free rent.
Like dogs? Hope you like dogs.
I have 2 dogs.
Cool. I got dogs.
Let's make this happen, Brian.
I don't know. I really like where I'm at. It would have to be an unbelievable offer.
Bring Charlotte with you. It'll be good
to live in San Diego.
Charlotte and Steve would have to come too.
Yep. All right, bring them.
So you got rooms for them because they ain't sharing a room, and I ain't sharing a room with them.
Nope. Bring them.
I'm pretty serious with a lady up here too. So
bring them.
Her family would have to come.
Yeah, bring them.
And then I need a job.
Got that.
So you'd have to give me a job.
What is your subject? Special ed?
No, you asked me that before. I'm social studies, man.
All right, gotcha.
Why do you guys move up to Bakersfield? It'd be way cheaper.
I'm okay.
I'm
not there for a reason.
Okay. Oh yeah.
It's a great place to have state meet, but other than that,
yeah, beautiful.
When you guys come up, I'll show you around the nice parts.
Yeah, go to the Kern River.
All right, guys.
You gotta give me some shoes. You gotta give me a pair of shoes to look out for, and I'll get you some drip. Some shoe heat.
Yeah, I got no drip. I don't need the drip.
What size are you, Brian?
12 and a half.
12 and a half.
Oh, dude, those shoes
Brian,
are.
Find some shoes on Instagram. Browse our page. Browse someone's page. Be like, all right, that's the shoe I want right there, and I'll get it for you. I'll figure it out.
Okay, it's funky _all _ the time. All day.
Funky all day.
Funky all day.
Funky all the time.
Funky all yeah. I like funky all the time.
You could begin a rivalry page, dude.
It's like you got that ringworm.
Funky all the time.
Won't go away.
It's funky all the time.
Yo,
Got some fun.
I stay punked.
There you go.
Stay funky. All right, guys.
Good
I'm
night.
gonna stop recording.
See you
All right.
guys.
Later.